Overnight oats are an easy and affordable make-ahead breakfast that you can grab on the go. Today, I'm going to show you how to make 8 different flavors in just about 10 minutes, so you can enjoy a different flavor every day of the week. To get started, you'll need several glass jars with a lid. These glass jars are 14 ounces in size, which gives you plenty of room to stir the oats together and some extra room at the top if you want to add any toppings. I will leave a link for these in the description below because they are my favorite storage jar, but you can also use a 16-ounce mason jar if you happen to have those on hand. To make overnight oats, you'll start with the same base for almost every flavor. For each jar, you'll need a half cup of old-fashioned rolled oats, 3/4 of a cup of almond milk or any other non-dairy milk that you like, 1 tablespoon of chia seeds or ground flax seeds, 1 tablespoon of maple syrup or honey, and a pinch of salt. Make sure you use old-fashioned rolled oats for this recipe and not quick cooking oats, which may turn out too mushy when you store them in the fridge overnight. If you'd like to assemble several jars at once, you can make these like a little assembly line and then add the toppings later to make each flavor. The only flavor that requires a slightly different base is the coffee flavor because you'll replace some of the milk with brewed coffee instead. Overnight oats can be stored in the fridge for up to 5 days, so I recommend making only what you're going to eat in that time frame. Today, I'm going to show you how to make 8 different flavors, so I'm going to prepare 8 different jars. The first flavor we're going to make today is the coffee flavor because it's the only variation that requires a slightly different base recipe. Instead of using 3/4 of a cup of milk for the liquid, replace a half cup of that milk with a 1/4 cup of brewed coffee. Then add in the remaining 1/4 cup of milk. I also like to add in 1 tablespoon of almond butter to this version, which adds extra creaminess, similar to a latte. The next flavor we're going to make is peanut butter and jelly overnight oats. To make it, add 2 tablespoons of peanut butter and 1 tablespoon of your favorite jelly to the base recipe. I'm using raspberry jam because it's my favorite, but you could also just use a half cup of raspberries if you'd like to avoid the added sugar. When you stir it together, it tastes like a PB&J without the crust. The next flavor we're going to make is carrot cake overnight oats. Add in a 1/4 cup of shredded carrots, a half teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1/8 of a teaspoon of ground ginger, and 1 tablespoon of raisins. Just like regular carrot cake, you could also add in some diced pineapple or shredded coconut if you like. Stir that together and add a small handful of walnuts on top for crunch. The next flavor we're going to make is Very Berry overnight oats, which is one of my favorites. Add a tablespoon of almond butter to the base recipe for creaminess, then stir in a half cup of frozen berries. The berries will thaw in the fridge overnight, so they'll be softer and ready to eat in the morning. The next flavor we're going to make tastes like banana nut bread. You'll need half of a mashed banana per serving. I usually like to mash banana on a flat plate with a fork and then transfer it to the jar. Next, add a half teaspoon of ground cinnamon and a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Stir that together, then top it with a small handful of nuts to add some crunch. Next, we're going to make chocolate peanut butter overnight oats. To the base recipe, add in 1 tablespoon of cocoa powder and 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. This combination tastes like a peanut butter cup, so you can even add a few mini chocolate chips on top if you want to embrace that dessert flavor. If you have some applesauce on hand, then the next recipe is for you. To make apple spice overnight oats, add in a 1/4 cup of applesauce, a half teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and 1/8 teaspoon of ground ginger. To make it more filling, add a tablespoon of almond butter or a handful of walnuts for a little added crunch. The last flavor we're going to make today tastes like zucchini bread, and it's a great way to add some vegetables into your morning. To make it, add a 1/4 cup of shredded zucchini, and there's no need to peel that, 1 tablespoon of almond butter, a half teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and a pinch of ground nutmeg. This is a delicious way to sneak some vegetables into your morning without having to turn on your stove or oven. Once you've assembled the jars, all that's left to do is add the lids and store them in the fridge overnight, or for at least 2 hours so they can soften up. One potential benefit of making overnight oats is that soaking them overnight may help to reduce their phytic acid content. Phytic acid can interfere with nutrient absorption, so by soaking your oats, you will potentially get more nutrients in each bite. It's important that you soak the oats in water or a non-dairy milk to reduce that phytic acid because research suggests that using milk or dairy isn't as effective. When you're ready to eat, all you have to do is grab a jar from the fridge and remove the lid. Typically, overnight oats are eaten chilled because they're a great time saver, and you'll also get more resistant starch when you eat oats chilled rather than cooked. With that being said, you can certainly heat them up if you want to, using either the stove or a microwave. I hope you'll enjoy this overnight oats recipe soon, and be sure to check out my other videos here for more fast and easy real food recipes.